Matthew, and thanks to you. It's a joy to be here with you, and I am so grateful to hear of the report from Matthew about the love in this church, the kindness, and the testimony that you have in this community. So I'm very encouraged by that, to know that there's a gospel-believing, gospel-proclaiming church right here in Woodside. And as Matthew was alluding to, and what you are probably very well aware of, there is a great need throughout New York City for these sorts of gospel-believing churches to be started, because there's just not enough. And so I'm grateful not only for Matthew preaching the gospel here, and for your testimony that you're preaching the gospel in your spheres of influence, but that there's opportunity for other churches to be planted. In fact, it reminds me of Matthew 24, verse 14, which, by the way, you've probably heard of the Great Commission, right? We usually think of that as Matthew 28, which says, "Make disciples of all nations." What a great place, such as Queens, to be able to do that. All peoples have gathered from every corner of the globe, right here in the most diverse borough of New York City. And you've heard of the Great Commission, which, by the way, it doesn't just include Matthew 28, but every gospel has a commissioning statement of Jesus. So Matthew has one, Mark, Luke, John, and even Acts has a commissioning statement of Jesus where he says, "You will be my witnesses in Judea, Samaria, in Jerusalem, Judea, to Samaria, and to the ends of the earth." That's our call. And so what you may not have heard of, though, is what some people have referred to as the Great Conclusion. All right, so when we've been making disciples of all nations, and as we do that, as we go out on the mission that Jesus has given for us, there is a conclusion. There's a concluding point. And that's in Matthew 24:14. This is what I've heard referred to as the Great Conclusion. Okay? Listen to these words. "This good news of the kingdom will be proclaimed in all the world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come." Now, like I said, I'm grateful for this moment that I have to share with you, and the fact that we're gathered here right now is a joy, but it's also evidence that the great conclusion hasn't happened. Okay? The fact that we're all sitting here means that the end has not come. And if the end hasn't come, then that means that the gospel has not been proclaimed to all peoples. Right? I mean, I'm just doing some simple logic. I think from the text I'm able to put these together, but we're in agreement, right? That the end has not come, and therefore there are many nations, there are many peoples that have yet to be reached with the gospel. And like I said before, Queens being just such a strategic, such a wonderful place where we can be on mission together and lock arms together and share the gospel with our neighbors, and literally are reaching nations. We are reaching the unreached right here in Queens. And so I'm grateful to be sharing this with you, but I also invite your prayers, because as Matthew said, we will be starting our Sunday gatherings September 8th, so it's about a month away. And on that day, that's kind of what some would refer to as sort of the beginning point of a church, but really there's a lot of work to do after that. I mean, if you study through the book of Acts, you'll see that it was just sort of a process. I mean, believers started coming together and meeting together, but they really didn't refer to themselves as the church until Acts chapter 5. And so there's this formational process that we believe God will work in us, and we just really need your prayers, not only leading up to September 8th as we begin meeting weekly on Sundays, but then also in the weeks and months ahead, that we will truly be formed, that Christ's likeness will be formed in us, as Paul says. And so, that's our goal. We believe that God has brought us to this place. We believe God has brought you to this place, so that we can see not only the Great Commission happening through us, but that the Great Conclusion one day will happen in us and through us as well. So please pray for us as we get close to that time. And there's just a lot that goes into starting a church, but we believe that it takes an act of God to start a church. And so we're just trusting in Him, and we thank you for your prayers. Thank you.